we're gonna make the choux pastry. I am using low-fat milk. I don't want too much of a fat content, but the reason I'm not using all water is to give more texture. If you want to reduce the risk of falling on your choux, then use only water, but that would be a shame because it's actually quite nice and it would be actually tastier. And I'm adding the same quantity as per the milk. We're gonna use room temperature butter, and then I'm gonna add the salt and the sugar, just a pinch of sugar. Okay, so now I have my pan, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put it in a medium heat. So what you need to obtain really is that you need the liquid to simmer. See, this is the time when you can see it simmers. From the side of the pan, you can mix it to make sure all the butter is melted through. Now you're gonna sift the flour. And then what you need to do is mix it thoroughly. You're gonna see in the beginning it's gonna be liquid, and then all of a sudden it's gonna come together. This is the texture that you will have. Then you switch on again at a very low heat, and then what you need to do is just mix it to evaporate any extra liquid that is not wanted. When you see it's coming together, see it forms like a ball, you can stop. So like I said, it has to form a ball. What you need to do is you're gonna speed it up to 1 in the beginning. We want to make sure that all the steam is off. To break an egg, never put it on the side of your bowl. The reason is that it might not be clean, might get some salmonella, so please do it on your kitchen counter. Just place it here. You whisk it like an omelette. What you want to do is just add gradually, especially in the beginning. Just make sure you mix it. You cannot really over mix it, but you can under mix it. If it's not mixed properly, then the choux will not grow nicely. So it's coming nice. To me, it's ready. So now this is finished. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use a piping bag. The dough, just be careful. Please don't leave it at room temperature without any cling film. Otherwise it will form a crust and then it will not be nice. And see how nice the texture it is. Absolutely, this is what I need. You know, the choux is actually a classic in France. Everybody likes choux because it's airy. It's not too stuffed. You know, after a nice lunch or dinner, it's actually nice to digest. And we usually fit it with a nice cream. So once you get the bag, try to flatten it and try to remove the air bubbles. Okay, so what you need to do, using a piping bag, is that you're gonna twist the bag in between the thumb and your index finger. And then it will come out just fine. You stop and you twist. You see how I don't have any air bubbles popping. For this one, then again, it does not matter because I'm gonna freeze it. But if you would happen to have some air bubbles while it is actually the fresh dough, unfrozen, then you will have some difficulties because it will pop out and then it will not form a nice round shape. And to make sure it does not form a crust that is not nice, what you need to do is add some cling film to the contact. In pâtisserie, we use a lot to the contact. It's to avoid the air coming in, and then you're gonna put it in the freezer. It will take approximately 2 hours. All right, and now we're gonna make the crumble to put on the choux pastry. The reason we're gonna do that is first, you're gonna get some texture, which is quite nice and crumbly. And second, it will allow actually your choux puff to grow gradually within the oven. So what we're gonna use is brown sugar, some flour, any all-purpose flour will do, and then very soft butter. room temperature, but very soft. We're gonna add a pinch of salt to enhance the taste of the crumble. Right, so you have all your preparation right here. If you don't have that plastic at home, you can actually use what they use in the florist, and so it's actually quite convenient. Otherwise, cellophane wrap will do as well. You take another one on top, and then you're just gonna roll it. You need to roll it quite evenly, so the cooking process will be the same, cooked evenly as well. It doesn't matter what shape you're gonna use, because we're gonna use a cookie cutter. Try not to waste any space, but if you do, it does not matter, because we're gonna put it in the freezer, and the rest, we're gonna roll it out again. You're gonna cover it, and then you're gonna put it in the freezer for about 10 minutes. All right, so what we've done, as you know, is we have frozen the choux. So we're gonna remove from the cavity and just place it on the baking parchment paper. What you need to bear in mind is that the choux, in order to grow in a uniform way, you need to space them out. It's very important to make sure that it will have enough heat to come in. You need it to be very airy, and it will grow actually quite nicely, about triple the size. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add the crumble on top, and then we're gonna put it in the oven at 240 degrees. The oven is really, really hot at that time. So what you need to do is you insert the choux, then you switch off the oven for about 10 minutes. Again, you're gonna switch on the oven at 170 degrees for another 20 minutes. And then you're gonna place one crumble on top of each one of it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna leave it in the oven to rest, or to start baking for approximately 10 minutes. You can check on your counter. Please don't forget to put your timer on, because some things might happen. And then if it's burned, you're gonna feel sorry. So here is for 10 minutes. And look at that. Wonderful choux. And then what we need to do is we're gonna let it cool for minimum 30 minutes. So we have another piping bag. I use a tip nozzle this time because we want to make the head and the neck. And this time you need to bake it in the oven for 170 degrees. This one is a choux pastry. However, we don't need to be so precise about, the round shape. It will come just fine because it does not need to grow that much. So now it's been baked for about 10 to 15 minutes according to the oven. Then again, the temperature that I give you on the recipe is really according to my oven. You're gonna have to try a few times and adjust according to your oven. Also, my oven is an electric oven. Most of you have a gas oven, so you're gonna have to adjust. So this time, until you see there's a nice golden color, you can remove the neck and the head from the oven. You're just gonna let it in a cooling rack for about 10 minutes until you can see it's quite nice to handle, because you don't want the cream to kind of melt once you have done all this nice work. Okay, so we have our nice choux. They have been rested for at least 20 minutes, so they're nice and easier to cut. So what you need to do is you're gonna cut the choux. Try to be in a sequence so you know exactly whose top goes with which choux, because otherwise sometimes you cut maybe bigger or smaller, and then it's not gonna look really nice. We're gonna take every top of the choux and we're gonna cut it in half. This will be the wings for your swan. Whipped cream. What you need is some whipping cream, extra cold, 35% fat content. Because you're gonna see it's gonna be nice and airy. And then we're gonna use 10% of the icing sugar. When you see it's starting to foam, there's a nice foam to it. You can gradually see now I'm ready. I can go into full speed. With the whipped cream, you have to be careful not to over whip it, because otherwise you're going to see that it's going to get actually too fatty. What you want is something really airy. So as you can see, we're not going to move that piping here next to the tip. However, here just make sure you don't have any air. And then we're going to twist it again and then store it in the fridge while we prepare the remaining. So now we have cut all the top. We're ready to pipe. So for the piping, then again, remember that twisting motion, and then you're gonna make some wave. So where you had your finished piping, this is where you're gonna insert the neck and the face. So this is the presentation. I would suggest to have a square plate, and then look at that, and your guests will love it. And now you can enjoy the Bahrain Summer Festival. Bon appétit!